Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Fabled Yugioh deck profile for post-Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem. We got some awesome new Fabled support in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set, giving us two new Synchro monsters and then a new spell and main deck monster, equaling out the same amount of support that Gem Knights and Jirax and Nekroz also received in this booster set. But the Fabled deck focuses on being able to discard your Fabled monsters to then either have different card effects, whether they be special summoning other Fabled monsters, the own Fabled monsters, and then making use of our Fabled Leviathan Isabel, the new boss monster of the deck, to be able to steal our opponent's monsters on top of everything else. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Fabled monsters, the new one is the Fabled Behemoth. If this card's in your hand, you can discard two or more Fabled monsters, including this card. If you do, special summon one Fabled Synchro monster from your extra deck, whose level equals the discarded monster's total original levels. This is treated as a Synchro summon. If this card is sent from the hand to the graveyard while this card's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can banish this card. Special summon one Fabled monster from your hand. You can only use each effect of Fabled Behemoth once per turn. So it's basically a discard synchro, if you want to call it that, being able to not only synchro summon by discarding your Fabled monsters after the synchro monster enters the field, you'll also have the other effects of the Fabled monsters that you discarded on top of everything else. We're also running 3 copies of the Fabled Marcosia. If this card's in your hand, you can discard up to 2 monsters except the Fabled Marcosia, but including another Fabled monster. And if you do special summon this card, if summoned this way, this card gains 200 attack for each monster discarded. And if this card is discarded to the graveyard, you can add one Fabled spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Marcosia once per turn, but it can be a card discarded off of the Behemoth, because then you can use it to grab our new Fabled Realms Revival continuous spell for all of the extended plays that this card can continue to do in the deck. Also, 3 copies of Fabled Cerberus. If this card's discarded to the graveyard, special summon it. You're going to see a couple other cards that share very similar card effects as the Fabled Cerberus, so just another resource to be able to grab onto the field thanks to the discard power of the Fabled deck. 3 copies of Fabled Grimro. If you control a face-up Fabled monster, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, add one Fabled monster from your deck to your hand, except Fabled Grimro. So it's search power for any of the Fabled monsters. No limit to what we can search Fable-wise with Fabled Grimro, a definite 3 of, so we can always have this search power available in the deck. 3 copies of Fabled Cruise, which another thing to remember with the Fabled monsters as well, these cards don't miss timing, so you'll be able to gain the discard effects of all your Fabled monsters regardless of the chain links or any other timing effects. So remember that with the Fabled Cruise, when it's discarded to the graveyard, select the level 4 lower Fabled monster in your graveyard except for Cruise, and special summon it, just grabbing you another resource. Like let's say you had Grimro in the graveyard after using its card effect, discarding Cruise can grab you that Grimro back onto the field to use for other synchro plays. The 2 copies of Fabled Luri. When this card is discarded to the graveyard, special summon it, having the same card effect as Fabled Cerberus. Instead of just being a level 2 tuner, this is a level 1 non-tuner in the deck, which still works very well because our Behemoth is our tuner that we run for the variety of different cards in the deck. The 2 copies of Fabled Ganesha. When this card is discarded to the graveyard, special summon it. If this card is special in this way, it gains 200 attack and is banished when it is removed from the field. So just another special summon option. It just gets banished, obviously, but a level 3 non-tuner. So once again, adjusting the levels for our Fabled monsters can be used for a good variety of plays. The Fabled Chawa, which we're running 2 copies of also. During your main phase, you can discard one Fabled monster and special summon this card from your hand. So being able to discard another Fabled monster with the Fabled Chawa can give us that resource. And then the Fabled monster we discarded as well, and then go for that synchro play since our Chawa is a tuner monster. We're also running 2 copies of the Fabled Nozochi. During your main phase, you can discard one Fabled monster, special summon this card from your hand, and when it's special summoned by this effect, you can special summon one level 2 or lower Fabled monster from your hand, so just resource extension as well. There are a couple Fabled monsters, which we'll get to in just a second, that you want to set up more in your graveyard for you to be able to use, so just being able to summon that onto the field with cards like Nozochi, and then go for the synchro play play, which those ones being the Fabled Yugioh and the Fabled Kushano, which we're running one of each copy. With Kushano, you can discard one Fabled monster to the graveyard except Kushano, add this card from your graveyard to your hand, and then the Fabled Yugioh, if it's in your graveyard, being able to discard a Fabled monster and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So once again, graveyard resources to make use of discards in our hand by either giving us the monster back to our hand or special summoning it onto the field. The non-Fable monsters that I use, which the Fiendsmith engine is viable in the deck. It's just that Fiendsmith tracked, the Link 1 for Fiendsmith are all very, very pricey. So if you have them, we'll wait for the reprint. Maybe I'll do an update with the Fiendsmith Fabled. But for now, we're just going for more of the pure engine. But the only non-Fabled lineup that we run are the 3 Gen the Diamond Tiger and the 1 Ken the Warrior Dragon as added discard power, being able to return this card at the end of the battle phase to the hand. You're going to use each effect of Gen the Diamond Tiger once per turn. During the main phase, you can special summon 1 Ken from your hand or deck to your opponent's field and defense. And if this card is summoned by the effect of Ken the Warrior Dragon, discard 1 card. So more or less just that special summon power. And then with Ken, at the end of the battle phase, return this card to the hand. You're going to use each effect of Ken once per turn. And during the main phase, being able to special summon Gen from your hand or deck to your opponent's field. And then being able to special summon that effect. And then your opponent draws 2 cards and discard 1. So added special summon power, making use of the monster lineup for the discard strength of the deck also. For the spells, 3 copies of Fabled's Realms Revival. When this card's activated, you can set 1 Fable spell or trap from your deck except for Fabled's Realms Revival. Your opponent cannot activate card effects when you synchro summon a Fabled synchro monster. And once per turn, you can discard 1 Fable card, then activate one of these effects. You can draw 1 card, or special summon 1 Fable monster from your graveyard or banishment. You can only use each effect of Fabled's Realms Revival once per turn, but being able to also grab from the banish gets back some of our Fabled monsters that may have been banished off of their own card effects, and then being able to set up some of our other spells and traps, like the one of Stairway to a Fabled Realm, which is our field spell in the deck. When it's activated, you can send 1 Fable monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can set up a Bonk or Kushano in the graveyard. You can target a Fabled monster in your graveyard, discard 2 cards, and add that monster to your hand. You can use this effect of Stairway to Fabled Realm once per turn, and if your Fabled monster attacks an opponent's monster, and you have less cards in your hand than your opponent, your monster gains attack equal to the difference in number times 200, and during the damage calc only. But still, set up along with that discard power, and being able to have this card set up with Fabled's Realms Revival is why it's just a 1 of in the deck. The 3 copies of Dark World Dealings as well, just a draw 1, discard 1 for our cards as well. The thing with this card also, if we were running the Fiendsmith engine, we mix around a couple cards, obviously for the Fiendsmith parts. Dark World Dealings would be where Tracked would be in the deck, and then the Engravers probably where the Gen and Ken lineup would be for those cards, with the rest of our spells being the 1 Foolish, the 1 Call by the Grave, and then the 1 Triple Tactics Talent to finish off the spell lineup, with our only trap that we run in the deck being the Fabled Treason. The one thing missing in the deck is mostly the hand trap engine, because this deck really needs resources in the hand to be able to use full power for the discard plays. You target 1 Fabled monster in your graveyard and 1 face-up card on the field, discard 1 card, and special summon that monster from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy that card on the field. So being able to have that special summon power while also being able to destroy an opponent's card, and Fabled Treason can be set up thanks to Fabled's Realms Revival, also just by setting it and then ready to go on our opponent's turn. For the extra deck, we have our new boss monster, Fabled Yugioh, needing 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monsters. With this card, once per turn, during the main phase quick effect, you contribute any number of Fabled monsters. If you do, take control of that main phase of monsters your opponent controls, but their effects are negated. If this card's in the graveyard, you can target 1 other Fabled cards in your graveyard. Return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, add the targeted card to your hand. You can only use this effect of Fabled Yugioh once per turn. So just being able to, once again, take your opponent's resources to use as your own, but also being able to make use of some of the weaker Fabled monsters we may have special summoned on the field, thanks to this card as well. And then add that target to your hand. By returning this card means we can then use Yugioh again for another synchro play later on, and add more Fabled engines back to our hand also. The one of the new Fabled Gamajin. Your opponent cannot target other Fabled synchros you control with card effects. You can use each of the following effects of Gamajin once per turn. If this card is synchro summon, you can special summon 1 Fabled monster from your hand or deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw cards equal to the number of other Fabled synchro monsters you control, then discard 1. So more draw power when we go into the bigger synchros. This card also being a tuner can help with that play, since our bigger tuner Fabled Yugioh is a level 10 monster. The 2 copies of Fabled Yugioh. When this card synchro summon, if you have 1 or less cards in your hand, you can draw until you have 2 cards in your hand. So best card to use while eating up your hand resources, and then just draw into more of those cards. The 1 Fabled Andrith and the 1 Fabled Unicorn for the monster effect negation, when you control the number of cards in your hand to then negate cards your opponent controls as long as that number remains the same. And then just more discard setup power thanks to Andrith also. For the other synchro monsters, 1 copy of Stardust Dragon along with the 1 copy of Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This is to go for the level 2 tuner play to then be able to summon out our Bysteel Dispatter onto the field as just another bigger, stronger boss monster. The 1 Herald of the Arclight along with the 1 TG Hyper Librarian, the 1 FA Dawn Dragster, and the 1 Psyframe Lord Omega to finish off the synchro engine, with our only link engine being the 1 Relinquished Anima and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, just as some more generics along with some of our level 1 engine to be able to go into. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, I really do like the new tuner just because you can test out a lot of plays, discarding 2 or more Fabled monsters, including this card, to special summon a Fabled Synchro from your extract whose level equals the discarded monster. So depending on what you have in your hand for those added discards, let's say we go for some of our better setup, being the Fabled Lurry, and then the added level 1 additional monster for that play. We'll gain the added Synchro Summon, but then also the added resources for our discard as well. So if we have Fabled Cruise, Lurry, and our Behemoth in our hand, we can discard off all 3 using our Behemoth for the synchro play to then go into our Fabled monster. Then the other Fabled monsters will resolve as well. Lurry will special summon onto the field. Cruise will special summon our other Fabled monster from there. And then from there we have more of the engine to be able to work with if we have all the searchable parts of the deck. Let's say we went for more or less added setup summon for these cards. We could then use them for the bigger synchro play, or we could save the synchro for our level 4 option for our monsters as well. Or if we wanted to go for the bigger synchro play, we would need Yugioh, the Behemoth in our hand, and then some of the bigger Fabled resources as well, including our Marcosia and our Grimro in our hand for these added plays, using the Behemoth and those cards to discard to summon out our Yugioh. Then the added plays for each one of them would activate. Discarding gives us the search for our Fabled Realms Revival, and then the Behemoth play while it's in the graveyard, except during the damage step, banishing it to special summon a Fabled monster from your hand as an additional resource, and then being able to use Realms Revival as a search for some of our other Fabled spells. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. The new support definitely did help with the additional plays that we can make for the Fabled deck, and that's really all the deck needs. It's just more and more stronger engine to be able to utilize to the fullest. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.